Okay, this is part two of the Illustrator After Effects tutorial movie. A couple of times I listened to the first movie and I realized one time I said, this is Illustrator Photoshop. You knew I meant After Effects. So don't do what I say, do what I mean. There. That was good. Anyway, I am in Illustrator and I'm copying, and I remind you that the preferences are on Adobe Illustrator Clipboard Preserve Paths, and I've cleaned up everything. I have marqueed like I told you not to do, and you can see over here, even though I'm paranoid, I'm gonna just show you. The paths in the layer palette are not selected. They are, but they aren't. The radio button for the group is. I'm gonna just be paranoid and click and shift click on both of the radio buttons for each of the paths, the word and the dot, and I'm going to hit Command C, and I'm not going to close it, but I'm going to minimize it, and I'm going to open up After Effects, and I already had the old one open. I'm going to click away from this and just go to a brand new one, so ignore what you're seeing. You're not seeing anything that's real. So let me go to a new project, and in a new project, let's start with what the handout says. Now, I'm going to tell people, and I'm going to say it in the handout, and I'm going to say it in the handout to watch the movie as you're watching this, as you're reading the handout. The handout cannot pretty much stand alone. The movie can stand alone. The handout can't. So it needs the movie because there's too much to type. Literally, there's too much to show and too much to type. Okay? So I'm going to type as much as I think is necessary. But let's start right in on it because there's a lot to do and I want to get to do it. So the very first thing to do is to open up a new composition, Command N, name it template. Now we're going to bring in the clipboard, and I see I've named it template like the handout said, and it's 30 seconds in the duration, NTSC-DV, which is 720 by 480. Now that I have it here, I'm going to go back and forth between this kind of thing, this moving this up and down, but for the moment I'm going to fit up to 100% so that I can get this as big on this screen as I possibly can. But when you actually do this, it redraws the screen in a little bit less resolution, as you will see in a minute. I'm going to hit Command Y, and I'm going to name it template. And in the template that I have named here, I'm going to leave all the settings alone like I say in the handout, and I'm going to click OK. Now, I don't want you working in the template per se. I want you working in the templates layer. So let's double click the templates layer, leave everything alone, even though it says masks here. Don't switch it, just leave it as masks. But I do want you to click on the title safe so that you fit the word between these title safe inside crops. Hit Command V to paste, and you can see how the word Brian has pasted in. Now I'm going to hit M in the template down here so that you can see it's pasted in as two masks. One mask is for the dot. The bottom mask is for the word. Now I'm going to click on the bottom path, and I'm going to command click on the upper path. That's a better way in After Effects to click on multiple items. If you want to click on multiple items that are in a list and there's too many to do that to, then go ahead and shift click. But if you want to click individual items anywhere that aren't connected, even though these are, command click on them. So I'm going to hit the, do what I just said, command click on them, on the word path, and hit Command T to transform, and hold the shift key if you are so moved. You don't have to, but I'm going to constrain the proportion and keep it consistent. Now that I've got the word Brian in there, it's important to note that the dot was made bigger. The one mask was made as big as the other mask in proportion. Now I'm going to close the layer window because it's the right size that I like. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the regular comp window, click away from everything. I don't need the visibility on the template because you're not looking at a template. That's just to paste your stuff in there on and to use as you keep on pasting. Only actually for two things. I probably shouldn't have said that, but you'll see what I mean when I get there. The word, I'm going to click back and forth between these two. As I click on the upper thing and the bottom path, the upper path and the bottom path, look at the comp window. See how by the clicking on the bottom, the dots actually got more bright on the word Brian? Watch when I click on the upper one, how the dots get, the anchor points for the dot gets brighter. So back and forth a couple of times so you can see that, but I'm going to leave it selected here, and I'm going to hit Command C. Remember, I cut out a part in the upper left hand corner. That means my line should start here. So one more time, Command C and click away. Now I'm going to collapse this and hit Command Y. Now repeat after me. All subsequent solids, say that, start at the home key. So always start at the home key, then move the timeline, then paste. One more time. When you go to make a new solid, always have it at what? The home key. So let's hit the home key, as I already know it's there, but let's hit Command Y, and the first one is called Write On. Now I'm going to be very efficient if I possibly can and continue this process. After I hit the Write On layer, I go to Effect, Generate Write On, which is all the way to the bottom, and I've now made a Write On effect on there, and it's ready for my path. Now I move it to the right time. Now, I say in the movie, or I say in class, move it to around 2 seconds, which I click that. You know, you can go, in fact, let me remember, see if my old memory can do this. It's Option Command J. No, it's Command Shift J. No, it's Option Shift J. Oh my God. Okay, 200. And let me go to 2 seconds. Okay. Now I'm going to hit the E key for the Write On layer here, and I'm going to open up the same attributes, edit attributes that are up in the effect window that are down here in the timeline. And I want you to see how I'm going to click. When you click anything for the actual path, you know that paths are created by using the X and Y coordinate. Well, you have to look. Sometimes it's not always called position. So you have to look for the X and Y coordinates in any attribute. For the particles, for the lens flare, and for the beam, you might not get the word position. So look for the X and Y coordinates to know where to paste to. But I'm going to click the stopwatch to set the first initial keyframe. Look over here where I'm circling, hit Command V to paste, and your paths paste in. Now they defaulted to this long. I know by experience that's not long enough, and I want to take about 5 or 6 or 7 seconds to write the word Brian. So now look at how I'm moving this around, and I'm going to be writing the word Brian in that much time. Now let me see why that didn't show up on screen. That should be showing. It's not black. That's interesting. Oh, that's a very good thing to show you. At half resolution, it won't show up. And I didn't see it. In fact, I like mistakes because mistakes stop people cold. At full resolution, this will show up. At half resolution, it won't show up. And I remember one of those commands when I was going to try to find the timeline, it shifted the resolution from full to half because I went Command Shift J, and that probably sent the, never mind, you know what I mean. So don't have this at thirds or half, but leave it at full. Now that you see it, it's all dotted. All right. Now I'm going to move this with I could go to 100% here, but I'm going to let this actually be, I'm going to let this be at 100% down here so you can see the dots actually got much more clean on screen. Okay, but in my handout and in the movie here, I want you to make the spacing point 001 for all of them. I want you to make the brush size 1.6, not less than 1.6 though, and I'm going to choose a really pretty blue for my color of my Brian. Now look when I write. As I write, and I'll go the correct way now, it's starting from the right hand side. Do you know that I did not cut a hole in it? This is so cool. This is so cool. Brian didn't cut a hole in his. I remembered that I didn't. Look where it's starting. I don't want it to start there. My goodness, I have to repeat the whole thing, but if I can do this fast, oh, this is neat. I don't have to ruin anything here. All I have to do is erase these from the template, go to the template and double click, go back to this and get rid of the masks. Oh, this is so cool. I'm glad because mistakes make everything happen. I'm going to click both masks, Mr. Dorkwad, me, and get rid of them. I'm going to minimize it and go back. Remember I said don't get rid of Illustrator? That's good. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to cut these two things. Oh my God, they're not cut. See, that's having a 53-year-old brain. Let me go back here and cut them, but this time really cut them short and go my direct selection tool and delete, delete. Remember, you have to have 2 deletes. Now, this is as fast as this needs to happen. Whoops. Let's go over here to the dot and cut the dot on the upper left-hand corner somewhere. 1, 2. And click right there. Delete, delete. Let's go over to the layer palette again. And just so you can see it, let me click and shift-click this. Command-C, minimize. Watch how fast this can happen. Click to After Effects, double click the template, which I already have, Command V to paste in the template. There's both your masks. Open up the masks or hit the M key and it'll open up both paths. Click and Command click both paths and hit Command what? T to transform. Now go up and make the transform nice and big by holding what key? Yes, it's the Shift key. You know, reinforcement training is what it's all about. How do you accept a transformation? Return key. Command S to save the file, and I should save this as Brian Tutorial AE 09, just so I know it's 09's version. And I'm going to save it right there. And now continue to save every 5 seconds. Okay, now that I have this perfect, close the layer window. I'm not embarrassed that I did that. Why should I be? Because you're going to make a ton of mistakes yourself. Let me go like this and click on the right on layer. Now, oh, whoops, did it again. Whoops, only one N. Let me click on the path I want, which is the bottom one, because that's the word Brian. Command C. This is the one that's cut. Isn't that funny? I said the other one was cut. Well, I didn't even check. No, it's not funny. Let's click on the word right on layer. Let's hit the E key. Let's move it to the 2-second mark like I said. And now at the 2-second mark, let's open the right on layer, click on our new brush position and hit Command V to paste. Now let's open this up. And now I don't have to check, it's on full, and if I move it across you can see how the word Brian is already blue and it writes from the left side to the right side. One thing I'm going to show you is how it writes from the bottom and then curls around to the top. If you want yours to write on the opposite way, from the top around to the bottom, watch what I do. I'll click before it starts and I'll hit the K key to take me to this keyframe. I'll marquee very delicately these keys. I'll go up to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, Time reverse those keyframes, and now watch how it writes from the top around, down, underneath, and across the bottom. I don't care which way you go, just as long as you go one way. Don't make a joke out of that. Now let's Command Z that, so it's actually going from the bottom, there it is, from the bottom up, because that's the way I want it. Now I'm going to compress this. I'm actually going to make this really small up here. Let me fit that to 100% so you can see something. I want to go get the dot for the word Brian, for the dot over the I. But I'm going to make sure that I put a marker on here because I want the dot to write at exactly the same time. I'll go a little bit farther down so you can see it. You see where I cross, like this stroke is actually making the I write right there. You see that? I'm going to set a marker right here by going Option asterisk and setting a dot marker. Option asterisk, Enter key, and I have a dot marker. Why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to make a new write-on layer for the dot, and I'm going to place it exactly where the dot is writing where the marker is. So I told you when you make a new solid, what are you supposed to do? Hit the Home key, hit Command Y, and let me write on dot, because it's for the dot. And now I'm going to move the timeline directly down to where the dot is. Let's go down to the mask. Let me move this up just a little bit here. Let's go click the word path for the dot. Command C. Let me close this. Click away from it so you don't have to see the template any longer. Click up to the dot solid. Go to Effect, Generate Write-On. Open the E key or click the E key, so I open this write-on. Now you can see both of them on screen very nicely. Okay, I'll want to move it up just a little bit because I want to show you something. Now I'm going to click the stopwatch for the brush position here, and I'm going to hit Command V. Now I know the dot is spread out too far, so I'm going to compress it. I'm going to click and compress one side so it writes quicker. Now, the reason why you can't see the dot, see how, let me make it slightly bigger. See how you can't see the Brian underneath the dot? That's because sometimes the modes for something, for a layer, need to go to Add. And I don't have to change the bottom one to add unless I make a background. I probably should do that anyway. I probably should just put this one on add because I've told you that it should be an add. If I have a space background, I wouldn't have been able to see through it to the space background. You follow what I mean? Now, why should I fix it when it ain't broke? Watch how I'm going to click down here. Just a minute. Let me move this up because I'm going to put the same attributes from the word Brian into the dot. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on the 0.001 and hit Command C, or I'm going to marquee, I'm going to click brush spacing and hit Command C, same thing, click over here and hit Command V. Now the dot is perfect. Now I'm going to click color, Command C, click color up here, Command V. Now I've got it perfect. And the other thing was, can't remember. I think that's it. 1.6. Oh, the 1.6. Brush size, Command C, and click brush size here, and Command V, and hit Command S to save. Now I'm going to make this bigger on screen, and I'm going to hand do this so you can see when this goes around, see how that actually writes exactly where I want it. It's actually starting a little too early, so all I have to do is move this down a little bit towards the right so it writes a little bit later in the process. So look, when this comes in now, it should write just a teensy-weensy bit later, and look at how nicely that's timed so it writes that perfectly. Now, the next thing here is for me to do the other layers. Now, I'm going to break this down into the next movie for the other ones because these movies take a lot of time to do and I want to render this one out and not make it so big. So the next movie is going to have it's going to start just with what you see. I'll hit Command S to save. Go to movie number 3 to see the beam, the lens flare, the particle effect, which will take a moment, and I'll even add the lightning to it. Thanks.